Welcome everybody to another YouTube video. First thing you're going to know is the sound has been addressed. Thank you for all the comments. Sorry it's taken so long. And the lighting has been addressed as well. So let's get into this video. The last time I did a video, which was on Monday, I basically put it out to you guys to interact with us and give us some sort of guidance as to what you guys want to see. So I've had quite a lot of response. I've had some emails and I've had some comments in the comment section below of that specific video. Thank you very much. John Fred, you're the guy that I've taken your advice first. I'm going to basically go into what is the best setup for a Golf 7R without opening the motor. So you'll see a couple of products on the table and obviously downpipes and things behind me over here, which we'll get into just now. But what I want to do is, what's the best setup? Well, that's an open-ended question because how much power? How long is a piece of string? What's the best setup? Without opening the motor, let's just first address the limits. A Golf 7R on my dyno, now every dyno is different. You're going to go from one dyno to the next and you're going to get different power readings. On my specific dyno, if you've got power at the wheels of around about 420 to 450 wheel horsepower, my dyno is stingy, you are close to the limit of throwing a rod on the Golf 7R. And I've got photographs and experience with one of our partners, Thanos Farmakis in Germany from GT Innovation. He can testify to the fact that just starting to exceed the 400, 420, 450 horsepower at the wheels mark, you're on borrowed time. So keeping that in mind, without opening the motor, no forged pistons, no rods, what is the best setup? Well, where inside of or underneath the 450 wheel horsepower would you like to be? And depending on that will determine, first of all, what hardware support you're going to need in terms of cooler, downpipe, and obviously turbocharger, and then the mated tuning for that as well. Depending on what boost you're going to be running, obviously you're going to need to choose a specific fuel and obviously a turbocharger match for that specific fuel. You cannot expect to make 450 horsepower at the wheels with a stock standard IS38 boosting 3-bar gauge pressure. It's not going to happen. If you decide to take a stock IS38 turbocharger and convert it to a hybrid, remember my previous video where we discussed the failures, the standard bearing system, the standard shaft diameter, etc. are not designed to handle a larger compressor and or turbine stage without failing. They are not going to be reliable, period. So based on that, you need to choose a turbocharger carefully. Is it going to be a daily driver? Is it going to be more of a weekend car where you don't mind a little bit of lag? Is it a flat out drag car where you're going to be in launch and you're going to be spending all of your time in the high RPM range? Depending on what you choose and depending on what the application for that vehicle is, you will need to obviously make a choice of what pump, what turbo you want to basically couple to that engine. So let's start off with ball bearing. Obviously, you're going to get much better response from a ball bearing turbo, and we have the IS38 700, which I'll put a link to in the comment section below. It's a GTX Gen 2 3071 rotating assembly, counter rotation, inside of upgraded AR, larger AR turbine and compressor housings, which maintain a 100% bolt-on application capable of 650 wheel horsepower, provided the engine and your hardware supporting mods, fuel, tuning, etc. can support that. You don't have to run it at that maximum power if you only want to make 450 horse on a stock motor. It's a great choice. It's ball bearing, it's genuine Garrett. It will be able to spool up in a very streetable way, so you can use the car as a daily. If you're going to go for a cheaper option, non-ball bearing, you can go for the IS38 600, which is a journal bearing, thick shaft, completely revised bearing system which we designed, also utilizing the larger AR compressor and larger AR turbine. However, still journal bearing, you will be able to run at a 2-bar, 2.2 bar boost all day long gauge pressure without having any reliability issues due to the fact that we've upgraded the shaft, we've upgraded the bearing system inside. So that's another reliable setup. What you can also do is you can opt for the Swirl Adapter, which is a TurboDirect design, and you can couple any V-band, 3-inch V-band, 76mm V-band coupler on your turbine mounting flange face. So G25 550, G25 660, G30, GTX 3071, GTX 3076, EFR 7163, EFR 7670, etc. So all of those turbochargers you have as options to bolt onto that engine. obviously run your boost pressure as low as possible so that you stay inside of the 450 wheel horsepower mark, so that you don't have to open up the motor. Those are pretty much a wide range of options that you have to be able to operate an engine without opening it. Now, depending on which way you choose or which option you choose, you're going to need supporting hardware. So we have a bolt-on intercooler setup. It's a 66mm core. It's a race type intercooler. It's 100% bolt-on. You have to change nothing. You have to modify nothing. You have to cut and weld absolutely nothing. All of the mounting points, all of the hose connections, all of the little receiving sections over here where your radiator bracketry clips into, as well as the white clips that hold the entire cradle onto the vehicle that mount on these two, are 100% OEM. You pull them off, you put them onto the cooler, and off you go. Your aircon radiator mounts onto the cooler. Everything bolts directly onto the cooler into the cradle, and the cradle into the car. You will not know that there is an upgraded cooler unless you obviously start searching for the charge pipes. Talking of the charge pipes, they're 66mm charge pipes. If the camera can come in here, I'll show you a nice close-up view of 3 water meth injection ports which are built in. They come with grub screws, or set screws as the Americans call them, which are glued. You'll see there's a bit of sealant over there which prevents them from leaking. Choose which 1, 2, or all 3 of them that you'd like to use, and you can screw in your injectors. Bead rolled edges so that your silicone hose obviously won't fly off. And then on the opposite side, you have a map sensor adapter with your stainless cap screws, and it has a thermal coating on it as well. This thermal coating is not a ceramic type coating. It is a coating that is hard wearing, aesthetically pleasing, and it does seal in the heat inside of the actual charge pipes themselves. So you have brackets, mounting brackets, which are pre-welded on, which will basically allow an OEM, 100% OEM fitment without cutting, welding, or modifying anything. Also bead rolled. And we have a set of custom-made 5-layer silicone hose, which is basically molded into the same shape. I haven't taken the plastic off any of these hoses, because this is actually one of our display models. And this silicone hose will basically be coupled together with your clamps, which obviously you're going to need to connect the hose onto your charge pipes, and obviously the charge pipes onto the cooler itself. Lastly, but not least, you get a muffler delete as well. It's a 55mm inside diameter, which tapers down to a 44mm on the other side. It's a billet muffler delete, which is included in this kit as well. The next piece of hardware you're going to need to complement this setup will be your downpipe. We manufacture a stainless steel offering which has a heat shield mounted on it already. Oxygen sensor port is still built in. Heat shield, your flex joints, your welds, all of your flanges are CNC machined, and all of your slip joints have got laser cut profiles on them. So when your clamps, which are included over here, so when your clamps clamp down, obviously you have a little bit of movement through those laser cut joints to actually clamp the wider section over the slightly smaller section. This downpipe is a 3-inch 76mm cat-less downpipe. We do not supply cats. We are able to supply them with a high-performance cat, but it's something that we write out of the software anyways. California, sorry, you guys aren't going to pass your emissions. 76mm all the way down to the rear silencer box. The next thing we offer is tuning. Now, we've partnered up with GT Innovation in Germany, Thanos. He's one of the guys, I think he's the guy that pioneered the multi-map, where he'll basically load 3 tune files on your ECU at the same time, and through the cruise control stalk or the cruise control buttons, you're able to choose which map you want depending on what boost you want to run and what fuel you have in the tank. This is pretty much the gist of the hardware that you'll need to complement your choice of turbocharger. I know that I've left the turbos open-ended. I've done it on purpose because I'd like to hear from you guys and see where you guys want to go in terms of the turbo choices. But for now, I think that's about what I'd like to cover in this video. John, Fred, thanks for the comments. I hope you're happy with this video. See you next time.